And I think in life today, there's not as much certainty for these kids. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of stress and anxieties, and I think that sport can be a really nice place for them to have that grounding. And so it was fun. It was great. It was a lot of work, but I felt good about it. But I felt like something was kind of missing. And we started with all boys. And so then we began to dabble into starting girls, offering programs for girls. And I thought, this is it. Like I get to inspire girls and teach them the things that I wish that I knew sooner about, their bodies and their mindset and working hard and doing it, like getting the strength and confidence from being in a sport and succeeding that way.
Hey, beautiful ladies, welcome back to another episode on the Ticket to Freedom Academy podcast with your host, Sylvie. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't already grabbed your cup of coffee, water, or tea, whatever it is that you're drinking, please go grab it. I've got an amazing lady, Jen Adams, with me today. Jen is a coach, and she's going to be giving us a lot of golden nuggets, things that we can use to educate ourselves, to empower ourselves, and to be inspired on a day-to-day basis. Thank you so much for coming, Jen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yes, it will. I mean, Jen, I can't believe that we're here doing this podcast, right? On Friday, we had our virtual networking event from the Lewis Howes's Greatness Academy, and
Hmm.
we found ourselves in one room during the breakout session, and we kind of connected. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is what I do. I love my part." And you're like, "Oh, Sylvie, that's nice. I'd love to be a part of it." I was like, "Yes, thank you for coming to bless this community with your own story, your own learnings, your own experiences. It's always a pleasure to be able to connect with other women from all over the world, because at the end of the day, Jen, we are social beings,
Mm,
and nothing is new under the sun. What you've been through, I could learn a lot from and live a better life,
mm.
and vice versa. It's really about always adding value in one way or the other. I don't need to experience everything that you've been through to be able to have a better life. And I can make my learning curve shorter by just listening to maybe your career path, some of the things that you've overpowered, things that you've overcome. And I learned one or two things from it that will save me 10 years of my life
Mm.
wasted. So I'm very excited to have you, Jen. If you can please give us an intro about yourself, where you live, your profession or your career path or what it is that you do, and let's just dive into the podcast.
Yes, I love it. So, my name is Jen Adams, and I live in Southern California by the beach.
Oh,
Yep. Yes, and I was raised. I'm actually back living where I was raised, and have kind of a close knit community of people who really don't want to leave this beautiful beach town. I went away, went to school in San Francisco, spent a little time in Europe, and ended up back here. I knew this was a great place to raise kids and just running around on the beach, feeling free. And so I'm here loving it. I work out of my house. I transitioned into life coaching from a career of coaching volleyball. So I guess I could kind of start there. I have always been an athlete my whole life. It's been my one true north was to stay committed to a sport. It really kept me out a lot of I think a lot of choices and roads that I could have gone down that some of my friends were going down. And for me, I think I'm just going to keep this idea of freedom as a thread as I speak, because for me, I felt like uh, staying in my sport was a path to freedom. And I saw my wonderful, loving mother not earning her wages that I felt was her worth, and was kind of stuck in some situations. And so it kind of motivated me to create my own financial freedom and path by at least starting to become more educated. And I thought that sport would allow me to get into college. So in the end, it did. I played volleyball, and then I played a year of professional volleyball actually in the south of France as well. And came back and started a family. And when my youngest son wanted to become a player, he was only 10, and we were trying to hold him off because it's a commitment to be a club player. But he wanted to do it, and so we kind of just created a little team for him to play, and then that morphed into more kids knowing that we were a volleyball family and knew about volleyball and wanted to be part of it. Anyhow, we started this volleyball club, and it's still going today, and it was wonderful. I did it since 2011. I ran the admin, coached many teams, and it's interesting because it was something that I could give back in, and something that gave so much to me. It was a home, a safe home. It was a place, a community that I could go to. It was something that was set. I knew that I was going to warm up. I was going to work hard, all these things. I was going to see these certain people. And I think in life today, there's not as much certainty for these kids. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of stress and anxieties. And I think that sport can be a really nice place for them to have that grounding. And so it was fun. It was great. It was a lot of work, but I felt good about it. But I felt like something was kind of missing. And we started with all boys. And so then we began to dabble into starting girls, Alfred programs for girls. And I thought, this is it. Like, I get to inspire girls and teach them the things that I wish that I knew sooner about, their bodies and their mindset and working hard and doing it, like getting the strength and confidence from being in a sport and succeeding that way. And so I did that, and it felt really good for a while. And then I felt like that wasn't it either. And I think that's so beautiful that, we get to recreate ourselves, and recreate ourselves every day, and really every moment we are creating ourselves. And so I decided, I kind of got frustrated. Honestly, it was like making, what do they call that phrase? It's a mess, make something out of your mess, magic out of your mess. I'll say it like,
turn your mess into your message.
Yes. Okay. There you go. So that's what I kind of did. I got sick and tired of listening to myself complain. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And what I realized now in hindsight was that my values were being sacrificed doing this job. And so in my life coaching, I love helping women find their values and aligning that which they want to do with their values. So, true freedom to me is creating the life you desire.
Oh my God, Jenny, bring it on.
And that feeling, the feeling of going to a job that you hate, that's the opposite of freedom.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I'm an entrepreneurial, I'm a creative, I'm an intuitive, and you put me in a box and I just shut down, tell me to drive in traffic and sit in a cubicle. No, I can't do that. But I did that, and then even, the parameters of the volleyball coaching were not aligning with what I wanted to do. I wanted to go outdoors more. I was learning more about spirituality and wanted to be involved in other groups outside of the sports network, and it just wasn't aligning with me. And I got grumpy.
Right. I feel you.
Yeah. So I literally just said, I'm done complaining and blaming. And that's the opposite of freedom, when we're complaining and blaming, because we're attached to this story of this is the way it is. And say, well, who's doing that? You're creating your life. So create something different. So that's what I did. I started, I just said, I'm not going to do this. I made the commitment. I got the permission. Gave permission to myself. And I literally just made a Google file and said, Jen's new life, what it's going to look like.
Wow.
And writing down the things that I enjoyed. I started writing more. I'll show you my book. I wrote a poetry book called Save Flowers. Poetry
that's
from
beautiful.
Soul.
Is that on Amazon?
That's on Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Super. I'll check it out.
Yeah, so I started writing. That was a little commercial plug there.
Right. No, of course, I'll check it out. Jen, that's
Yeah.
why we're here, right?
Yeah,
To share this with, I mean, how, of what use, right, is your book to anyone if they don't know that it does exist? Of
I
what
know
use?
exactly, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
service.
Yes.
It is service because if I'm going to read your poems and bask in them and, just float in your poetry, how am I supposed to benefit from that if you don't tell me? If you don't tell me, then you're not being kind to me. You're not
Exactly.
you're not allowing me to benefit from this value that your poems will have in my life. And so you're actually in the way of my liberation, of my freedom, of my emotional bliss. That's what it is. So
Yes.
please, whatever it is during this conversation that you feel that you can give to women out there, please by all means mention it. I
Mm.
love the fact that you're a life coach. I love it. Jen, before I came to the UK, I've not always been here. I was born and raised in Cameroon. I came to the UK in 2019. I've not been here for too long.
Oh,
You won't
wow.
believe it. And before, I never knew anything about coaching. Like, I mean, back home, we call the elderly or people who give us guidance, we call them elderly.
Uh-huh.
That's what we call them. Like, no, it's my elder, it's my, they have wisdom. We say, oh, the wise, they're the wise. We don't call them coaches. I didn't really know that word. I heard the word coach only when it came to football. I
Yes.
didn't know that I could get a life coach, like someone who coaches me and makes my life better. Just being in this part of the world and seeing what other people do and some of the things that I've missed out on, I'm sad. Like, I'm sad. These are things that I've missed out on. Why? Because maybe those who were even exposed to it, those who were back in Cameroon, who were traveled, well traveled, and who had been exposed to it and benefited from it, never talked about it. They did me a disservice. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many areas of my life that would have benefited from coaching earlier on, but hey, better late than never. And today I pride myself as a business coach, and I was just reading a review that came in from a client, and I was touched and I was in tears because I felt, oh my God, who could have thought that this girl who didn't even know that something called coaching existed for someone like her, besides a football coach telling players to, kick the ball, run, place yourself in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I get to inspire women just like you. I'm passionate about women, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because of my story, my experiences in life from the age of 16 when my father died. That inspired me to want to support women because I went through a really tough time. I continue to, but I am more mature now. I am more experienced now. And I'm also freer in the sense that, like you said, true freedom is being able to do what you want to do. I love it. And for me, I always say that financial freedom is what has kept me afloat, basically. Being able to pay for at least my rent, being able to pay for food, being able to pay for clothing. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to do that without depending on handouts has been transformational, and it has saved me from exploitation. You said
Mm-hmm.
something about your mom in the beginning. I'd like for you to, just expand on that a little bit. You said your mom wasn't paid her dues. What
Yeah.
did you mean by that?
Well, so my mom didn't, she was a teacher's aide, which, and for the severely handicapped. So, and she did it for over 30 years, and it was a really demanding job. And
Oh
she
my
was
God.
so skilled and qualified. I mean, this woman, t- listen to this. She has one of her students to this day. I think her student is now 40 something. And so she taught her when she was in elementary school. She calls her every night to say good night. Yes. She won't go to sleep until she calls her and says goodnight to her. I mean, she impacted these kids' lives like crazy, but she didn't. earn the wages to be
Yeah.
teacher, and so she really couldn't
Yeah.
support herself. And she and my dad got divorced, so she had to raise my brother and I. And then she met a man who was able to help that situation. But I feel like there was, if she may have made different choices, I think, if she could have supported herself.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I, I it sounds like you listened to my live from this morning. I made a live video, no, this afternoon actually, and I said, "Listen, ladies, it's not a question of you have to." I read George Lynn Toller's book of Divorce Court. I don't know if you know her, you're familiar
Yeah.
with her. She's in America. She's popular. Divorce
Yeah.
Court. I read her book, and in her book, she was literally saying that her mom stayed with her dad. Her dad wasn't the most loving husband. He was quite abusive to the point where her mom used to run and sleep on the roof, literally, because
Mm,
this man was very abusive. But she stayed. Although she left, she stayed, she came back and she stayed with
mhm,
that abuse for the rest of her life because she
mhm,
couldn't take care of
mhm,
herself. She couldn't afford to care for her two kids, George Lynn and her sister. Um, so she said she came back and she stayed. Her mom
mhm.
stayed. And I don't want to speak for my mom, but I think she could have made different choices if she had the financial liberty as well, because to
Yeah.
be in a relationship where you're literally considered as a third leg is quite hard. It's hard. It's a hard
Mm,
pill to swallow. And when we don't have that liberty to just pay for some of the things that keeps us afloat or just gets us going in life, it is likely that we will settle for choices that we would never touch with a long stick
mhm.
if we had a better
Yeah.
option. Yeah.
And I think I totally agree, Sylvie. But what comes before all that is what are they feeling about themselves? Do they feel that, one, they deserve a different life, or do they believe that it's possible for them? And I think that, when I look at my mom's upbringing and her examples of men in her life and so forth, I mean, it makes sense that she stayed where she was. And
Right.
I think now, even though many women have all different circumstances, I think that we do have opportunities of information. We're in the information age. I mean, even if you don't have a computer, you could go to a library. At least
Right.
a large population of people could. And we have information at our fingertips where we can begin to become, and there's so much free information for inspiration and, building ourselves up. I think that we need examples, and like, this is a beautiful platform for you to inspire women to see what's possible. And I think that that's really, really powerful, to see what's possible. If you don't believe that you can have something or you deserve it, someone could give you the money. That's why lotto winners, they say,
Yeah, they
lose the
become
money.
poorer. Yeah.
They they don't really believe that they could have it.
Yeah, they become poorer.
So yeah.
Yeah. Jen, listen, I've got a question for you though. So you said something about writing your own life and just opening a Google sheet and saying, Jen's new life,
Mhm,
how this is how it's gonna look like. So
mhm,
I asked a question in a group, a massive group with over 500,000 people. I said, ladies, are you working? If not, why not? Are you earning your own money? If not, why not? And a lot of the answers I got is the man's responsibility to take care of me.
mm.
That's what they're here for and stuff like that. What do you think about a situation where a woman doesn't work because she feels like she's got a man in her life and that's his responsibility?
You know, to me, I think that people, um, I think the more free I am is letting people live the life the way they want to live it. And I don't really um, like to get into, I could have my opinions, but it doesn't really serve me well.
Yeah, I'm asking about your opinion. If you had your
About my
daughter who
opinion
said to
is,
you, that,
I feel
mommy, I'm not going to work because
I
my
feel
husband is there to care for me and to do everything, what would you say to her?
yeah. I mean, I like having my own money. I feel like, it's not only that, it's not even so much about it's the money. It's like, what am I doing here? You know,
Oh, thank
what am
you.
I doing here? I mean,
Thank
I
you.
came here, the two little things had to come together to create this, and it was a miracle. And then I came as this purposeful soul, and somebody named this soul. And then I started getting information from family and society of what this soul should look like. But in the end, I was created with a soul and a mission to give in this life. And that's what I'm here to do. And so what is my gift that was given to me to be here to do? If I make money at it, great. Why not? I should make money at it. Like you were saying earlier. So I think if a woman said that, it sounds, maybe she's running a bunch of nonprofits, then good. She's doing something, but I mean, I obviously don't believe that it's a man's job. No, I don't personally believe that, but families, if you have children and things, there are family dynamics that can get set up for time beings of, raising small children and such. But I
I
think
mean,
we all
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Jen, and I've not really had someone respond to this question so deeply. Like, you were put here with a mission. What are you here for? Are you
hmm
just here to live, eat, and to die? What is your own contribution to the
hmm
world, to society?
hmm
I believe that if we approach life like that, and I think it was one other guest who said that having a business is literally just living out your purpose. That's all. Your you wanted to look at what you did with the volleyball.
hmm
That's something that you were passionate about.
yeah.
And it would naturally, as where there is value, where there is impact, income will follow. Except that we decide that we don't want to live impactful lives. Okay, yeah, you can just sit around and wait for someone to hand down to you. But my mother, when my father left the house and went to work and never came back, he didn't tell her that he was not going to come back. He just left, had an accident, and left her with 7 kids, young children to care for. 7.
Wow.
So when you sit around and say it's that man's responsibility, I wish my dad had had that conversation with my mom to say, listen, lady, I'm about to go die. So prepare yourself to take care of 7 children.
hmm
Do we even think about that as women? Like, besides the whole, you're here for a purpose, how do you live it out? And if you can live it out in a way that adds value and impacts, your income will naturally follow.
hmm
Um, but also that we cannot depend on anyone but ourselves. Anything can happen at any time.
Absolutely. And I think that I love the way you said that, because that is freedom, right? Knowing that you have that security to take care of yourself financially.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like a savings account.
exactly. Exactly. It is. And
Yeah.
just going to bed having that safety net, don't you think you'll sleep better than to always be worried like if this person is removed from my life for one reason or the other? They can decide to leave you, divorce you, or
Yeah.
they can decide they can lose their job, that source of income, that company can go bankrupt. If you were counting on that, what then do you do? You know?
Yeah. I kind of like to think about money too, like just as energy exchange, because there's so many things tied to money, depending on how you
Right.
there's so many stories and stigmas tied to it. Oh, I run on coffee. I like your cup. I'm going to take a sip of mine. Mine.
Please, I told you we're just having
I
tea
forgot to get a
and
cute mug,
recording
but
it.
oh well. But I think, yeah, if you think about, sometimes just thinking about money could have a heaviness, like it's
Mm-hmm.
something you have to make and like do, and it's like this really masculine feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But also if you just think about kind of like what you were saying about the poetry book, it's like it's just This is an extension of me that I'm giving. I'm offering what a product or a service. I would love for you to receive it because I made this thing that,
That's it.
right? And then
Yeah.
a beautiful exchange of energy that we call money.
And nobody will ever write poetry like you, Jen. Nobody
Mm,
will ever. This same topic that I wrote for my book, someone else could take this book and write it, and it will never be the same as mine. This is a
yeah.
unique expression of me. The way I think, my personal experiences, which no one else will ever go through. It's just me. This is a unique expression of me, and that's what business is. And that's
Hmm.
what the energy is. Your
Hmm.
energy will never be mine, neither will it ever be your daughter's or your son's. It's you. You're
Hmm.
special. You're unique like that. And
Hmm.
whatever you do is your unique selling point.
Yeah.
So if we think about it like that, and that's why there's someone who has got people listen to multiple podcasts, because the way I speak to you right now, someone would connect to it and
Yeah.
still be able to connect to Lewis's podcast and still be able to connect. So
Hmm.
there's no there's no need to feel like we need to create something like a mountain out of a molehill. Just just use your molehill and make the best of it.
Yeah, I like that.
It's just your gift. I mean, look, you
Yeah.
started writing poetry. I'm gonna go grab your book because I want to be a part of your experiences. There's something about learning about other people. That's why people, I don't know if you've heard this before, but a lot of people say, I read this book and it changed my life. I read this book and it changed my life. I listened to this podcast and it changed my life. I listened to Jen speaking and she changed my life.
Yeah.
You don't know on whose, on the way of whose transformation you're standing when you hold those things within, when you hold your gift
Yeah.
within.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because when I told you I was making that shift and I was like, just the epiphany of like, it's me. I'm the constant in my life. I'm the one complaining about this. Do something about it. I can do something about it, and I really just had to get sick of myself. But I woke up in the I woke up in the middle of the night and I had my iPad and the book opened up and I didn't know because I had multiple books going at one time. I didn't know which book. I couldn't see quite. I'm in the middle of the night. The book opened up and I just started reading it. Well, it was a book that I had already read and I had kind of poo-pooed it. I was like, oh, it's so trite. I think it was called The Only Lesson. And it's a very simple book. It's actually a really good book. And it was a simple book. And a man wrote, he was raised in a big family, dad of an alcoholic. And then he has what the only lesson is. And in the end of each chapter, he has like questions. So I started reading this book and I was like, after I already said it was trite, but I didn't know that was the book it was. So I had no prejudgment of it. And I was like, this is amazing. Amazing. And the next morning when I woke up, I looked at the title. I was like, oh my gosh. But I swear, I was like, the lesson was, guess what you think the only lesson was? What do you think it was?
You have your how your life turns out is in your hands. Something about
It
making
could have a
your
lot of lessons, but basically his only lesson was to come from love.
oh
Yeah. And I can speak to that for in a minute, but just to finish that story was that something shifted in me. So instead of me getting like angry at myself, angry at the situation, blaming the circumstances, which is attaching to the past story, which
mm-hmm.
I think freedom lives in the present moment.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
I am not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to blame myself, anybody else. I'm just going to take charge.
Yes, I love that.
And yeah, and so that was to go speak to your point of the book. But I think the message of love is something that I always keep hearts around. I love hearts. And I have a heart ring. Oops, wrong finger.
That's beautiful.
But I think when you can use it in a lot of ways, for me, it's one of my go-to ways is to think about coming from a place of love. So if I'm in a situation where I'm frustrated perhaps with another person, or, you know, I can connect to their heart, instead of blaming them or looking at them or thinking it should be another way. I can just connect my heart to their heart, knowing that that's where they are on their path. They haven't had coaches, they're not there yet. This is their journey, or whatever it is. But it helps me respond in a loving way, and also to myself. You know, coming from, like, let's say the business side of things we were speaking about. If I realize that I am love, I came from love, I'm here for love, well, then I should share my love.
Yes, I love that. I
Yeah.
totally do. I mean, Jen, I'm really loving this conversation, especially a part about love. Love. Love seems to be overrated, but really that's why we're here. It's out of love.
Hmm.
And every single air that we breathe is as a result of love. I don't know if you're a believer, but I try as much as possible to live a life of love for my neighbor. And everything I do, I ask myself, would you like someone else to do that to you? And that's out of love for my community, for my kids, even the way I discipline them. I ask myself, what would I have someone do to me? What would I be okay for someone to do to me? And I act accordingly. And about the book, the, so just like you, there are times when I've read something and it didn't mean anything because I wasn't ready for that message. And then I've read it again
Yeah.
and it's been, wow,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm gonna write this down. But it wasn't the first time I came across you, but I just wasn't ready for
Yeah.
that message at that time. And that's why I prefer to buy books as well. So I've got books as well, because when you read a book over and over, you just don't know what message is going to hit you at what point in time.
Yeah.
And I don't read fiction books. I just struggle. I've never really
Mhm.
been able to
Me
read
too.
fiction. Yeah. I love non-fiction books, self-help books, reading other people's memoirs, other people's stories. I love it. And I feel that it's made me a lot more edified and open to life, the world. I'm no longer stereotyped, judgmental. I know I don't approach situations with prejudices anymore. And just like you, and the reason why I asked you the question about other women is because I want to understand other people's perspectives genuinely.
Mm.
Because people have not lived my journey. If you've had a father who has always provided and who is still alive, who is wealthy, who has got billions in the bank, why should you bother? You have not had my experience where I didn't have a father from 16 and I had to care for myself. We've not had the same experiences, so I can't judge you for your own choices.
Hmm.
So, but I try as much as possible to understand other people by asking questions just to understand, like, am I strange? Is this normal? The way I feel, how I look at life? How do other people look at life? So that I can have a wholesome picture of the world around me, because
Hmm.
sometimes we can be locked in a little bubble, in a little world, and we think that that's where life ends. But no, until we have these conversations with other people and get to know their lives. I mean, I find it fascinating that you literally just opened an iPad and said, Jen's new life. This is where it begins. And you start writing. It is mind blowing. I wish my mother can hear this. Like, Jen just opened an iPad and just wrote about her new life and she went to pursue it.
Yeah. Thank you.
How
Yeah.
did that go?
Oh, it was actually, I'm really a fun seeker. I like to have a lot of fun, and I just made it fun. I didn't put parameters on it, time frames on it. Um, I actually really tapped into energetics and more like spiritual guidance around it. And I just said, if I'm going to put this out, into the universe that I'm going to come in more to my purpose and what it is that I can offer around what I love to do. I want to
Mhm.
wake up every day loving what I do.
Mm.
I mean, I am so aware that that any moment it could be gone. I want every day the best it can be.
Oh, I love this.
And yes, of course, there's circumstances we all have, but I wanted to create a life where it aligned with my values. I'm a big outdoor person.
Right.
I like to hike. I like to do my beach walks. I ski. I backpack and camp, and I do all these things. And I like the flexibility when I write. There's days where I'm just writing, and I have the flexibility to go with the intuitive hits that come to me, and when the
Mm.
creativity is flowing, and those were the things that were important to me. So I just put it out, and every day I did some processes, like manifestation processes. Like I am prosperous, living my passion, and envision the life I wanted.
Positive self-talk.
Yes, I'm a big believer in visualization and meditation, and I started trusting that if I can see it and I ask for it, and it's coming to me, it's here. And I just need to be aware when the doors are opening.
Mm. Love
And
that.
so, like, kind of just walked around with people that I would run into, and if I started saying yes to them. And the funniest thing is, I said I really want a mentor, and I just want mentors in my life. I read books and things, and anyhow, so people would come into my life, and I would ask them deep questions, and I started volunteering at an organization. I made some good friends there, and I asked a friend of mine something, and he said, "You should go see a psychic." And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no! I didn't not into that. It's not my thing. I don't want to talk to people who've passed." And but I was like, "Well, I sent the universe to send me these people, and they're asking me to go see a psychic, so I'm gonna go." I was like Yes Man and Jim Carrey. You remember when you can't say no? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
says yes to everybody. He gets himself in all kinds of trouble because he says yes. Well, anyway, I went and saw the psychic, and she was amazing. And we talked about my life. We didn't really talk about people who passed, but she saw me doing all the things that I'm doing right now, and it was just like it was just a confirmation. I think there's many ways to um, I think we need to train our brain to find messages from above that
Hmm.
that are confirming, and we get messages all the time. I think we just need to see them. And I listened to all those messages, and just started developing my path, and just kept going, kept taking the steps.
Wow.
Yeah. And now I get to do the same for others.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I've got a coach in my life as well. She's an intuitive coach.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did some work with her where she helped me to align my energy with the kind of clients that I wanted to attract.
Mm,
And as a Christian woman, I've always believed, oh, psychics they're not godly. Like, you're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be talking to God alone.
yeah.
If you have any issues, just go on your knees and talk to God. I'm just wondering, shall I see a psychic? So she can tell me the life that I'll be living in the next few years,
I know.
and
If you
just,
want a referral, I have a woman that I just went to, and she's English.
oh,
Uh,
really?
She lives here. She's like an angel. She's just so beautiful and wonderful. It's just so positive. She, yeah, and I highly recommend her. It just, I feel like she was a coach for me. I just had one session with her, and you know, and I feel like I have this gift too, and it's to see the light in people. Like when I work with people, like I don't really give them so much advice as really just help them find their own answers within, and really reflect back to them the light that they already are.
Right.
And because we really do know what we want, we really do have what we need. It's
Yeah.
just the belief and the mindset behind trusting it. a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
yeah. So anyway, if you want her referral, I'll give it to you. She's amazing.
Ye- Okay, great. So, Jen, as a life coach, what exactly do you do for your clients? If I were to come to you right now, what would you do for me?
Well, most of the women that I get, if I'm working one on one, I I think we draw the people, like you were saying, that the people come to me who resonate with me, and so I think a lot of people that I work with seem to be in a transition. um, so a lot of women want to get a new job or to start their own career. And so I really help them understand, like, what is it that they want? And like I was saying earlier, like, what are your values? Is it important for you to have time with, do you have kids still in the home, or are your kids gone now and it's important for you to build your future? And so they can make aligned decisions in creating their
Hmm.
path with their values. And then we design what it is that they would like to create and find out what's blocking them. So what I love about coaching is past stories come up, but we really start where you are and we move you forward. So while you might have, things that are blocks are usually from our past, they will come up and we deal with them as they arise. So,
Right.
and even like within a coaching program, I'll have women that were working on this path to, become great at this or that or the other thing. And I work with people who want to lose weight, which is not a big one for me, but sometimes people come for that. Mostly it's like starting a career, writing a book, moving up in their company, some athletes who want to get better at their game. Some people a lot of women wanting to be more confident. And so things will come up along the way that we also deal with, relationships happen and we start to see patterns and we can recognize patterns. One of the things that when you work with me is a real biggie is the mindfulness piece and just having the presence of what's coming up and how you're talking to yourself and noticing the thoughts in your head and replacing those thoughts with the truth, having practices to reinforce that. And every week there's a goal to move forward. So it's nice to have accountability and so that you can get the results that you want. And that's another nice piece about coaching.
Wow, I love that. I really love that. And there's something that you said that kind of made me, oh, Sylvie, you're on the right path. Because I recently completed a book about, so the title of the book is The Unshakable Confident Woman. And the reason
Mm,
why I wrote that book is because I struggled a lot with confidence. Up
mm-hmm,
until last year, August, Jamie, I mean, I have a lot of respect and love for Jamie because Jamie helped me to break past a ceiling that had held me down for so long in my life. And I struggled with self confidence for a long time, very early on in life, and worse still when my father died. I just made me I was just so
mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of us women, we have that issue. We do. And I
Yeah,
also came across research that confirmed that we struggle a lot with our confidence. And
yeah.
because I've gone past a lot of those, I would say barriers or stops
Mhm,
that I had, you know, put in my way mentally, like you say, that you do a lot
mhm,
of mindful. That's very, very super duper important because many of the barriers that we face in life are up here.
mhm.
Jamie didn't talk to me for he talked to me for 10 minutes and it changed my life and I published this book.
Wow. Well,
He didn't.
could you share more about what he did that exchange was about?
Oh yeah, so when I registered for Louis Howes's course, obviously when you've just registered, they'll ask you to book coaching with someone one on one when you first register. And the first person who called me was Jamie. So when he called me that afternoon, I had just come up from because Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi were doing a ticket, Time to Thrive challenge, and
Mm-hmm.
I was attending that challenge, and then that's why I didn't attend Lewis's. I think it was his what's this thing he does? Greatness. This event, this big event, his
Okay.
summit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because there was some type of it was overlapping with the
Okay.
Time to Thrive, and I had paid for it. So when I spoke to Jamie, he was just asking me some questions like, what are you doing now? What do you want to achieve in your life? What is it that's holding you back? And I said, Jamie, I've just written a book. I've got a few other books that I've written, but I don't think I'm worthy to publish a book.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, why? Go ahead and hit publish, Sylvie. Hit publish. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst? Nobody buys it. So what? Feel good that you've done it, that you've done something. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing he said to me was, so I said to him, so he said, what else is stopping you from going on and creating the life that you want? I said, I want to impact as many people as possible. And people are asking me, so I had already created my website, Young and Independent Community. Um, and I said to him that, people who listen to my podcast, they're asking me to come on video, to do videos, but I don't feel beautiful enough to do videos. And he said to me, do you understand that you're blocking your next level by holding yourself back in your mind? God damn it, who told you that you're not beautiful? Go ahead and put your first video today.
Oh,
Today. And when I got off that call with Jamie, and my son, my toddler, came and looked and said, Mommy, he's so beautiful.
oh,
He said he's so handsome. So we laughed about it, and then I was in a really good mood after that call. I just went on and hit live on Facebook, literally.
wow.
Yes.
Good for you.
And this book got
I'm gonna
published.
get your book too. I'll get it after we talk. I want to write your name down.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Uh,
and and this book got published, and I have gone on to create. My channel has over 85,000 views now. um I feel so comfortable in front of camera. I feel more confident. I feel more beautiful. I feel like I'm unstoppable. So
oh,
coaching is something very powerful that a lot of people don't realize. But
mm-hmm.
the fact that I've been able to go past that barrier, and now I can see myself talking to you. I'm literally excited. I was excited to talk to you, Jen. And it's all happening on camera. Without that, I wouldn't have even started Ticket to Freedom
Yeah.
Academy and have these conversations to impact women. So what you're doing is amazing. It is life changing. It is impactful because it has a snowball effect. What Jamie did for me, what we're having right now is as a result of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
any other
Yeah.
person who is going to be blessed as a result of this convo, it's all thanks to Jamie.
Well, yes, and I think what I was thinking about confidence earlier too, and I think one really important thing that you said, well, you did it. He gave it to you, but you did it.
True.
You did it, girl. Is you pushed the button.
Mm-hmm.
You pushed publish. And that
Yes.
what did that take?
Confidence.
No. What did it take before? Because you didn't have the confidence. You were just like
Oh,
courage.
yes. Courage.
It takes the courage. And I think that the courage word, the other C, needs to go before the confidence.
Yes, true.
Right? Because nobody's confident when they're doing something new. It's always
True.
scary and it's like, but
Yes.
like you have to have the courage to do it. And then when you do things, you start
Then
doing
the
things, you
confidence
build the
comes.
confidence, and then
Yes.
they say you build the confidence, then you get the competence, and then the
So true.
competence builds the results of whatever
Yeah. And
you're
the
looking for.
impact and the reputation
And
and the
all of that.
brand and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
true.
So, and I think
Yeah.
too, like, I think just to take note, I think I love when you told me to speak about my book, and, I didn't know what was appropriate on this podcasts and,
Yeah,
whatever. So
please.
you did that, which was great. And then I also just want to say to you too, is like that I think as women, we don't, we don't always just take our credit,
Mm,
we give it away a lot, like, yeah,
yeah.
praise our people because everybody has mentors, a book is a mentor. But
Yes.
ultimately, we could read the books and they could collect us, and we could not do anything. And so we really
True.
are doing the work, and
True.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I should take more credit. I should have just give it all to Jamie. Jamie, come on, can you give me
Yeah.
back some of the credit I gave you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's
no,
so
I
much
love
power
that.
in questions, isn't there?
Sorry?
There's so much power in questions.
Yes, there is. There absolutely is. So, what is one thing that caused you a lot of pain in your life that you were able to overcome, and how did you do it?
Mm. Um, I think probably my biggest pain was sexual abuse.
Oh,
And that was a long process. And how I overcame it, I think, is not just one thing. Um, I think the first thing again is awareness. I denied for a long time, and getting it straight in my mind about blaming and feeling shame and responsibility. So getting the truth straight, really just working through all the the processes that goes along something like that. Um, and then there's I think that this is a lesson that I keep taking forward is that we never just end. Like I'm never done. I'm always growing. I'm always the word healing is like almost sounds like, well, you're wounded, but in a sense we are, we heal our cells shed every day. We're like we are growing and healing. And um I didn't really quite know that there would be so many layers to this. And I think like what you said earlier about when you're ready, you can hear. This was certainly true in this case too, to the level that I was able to go into the pain and release it. So I also actually do energy work. I'm
great.
I'm a Reiki master, but I really just channel source and heal with what I'm feeling and hearing. And I did work with other people on that too. And so within that, I found more healing, more areas in my body that were holding memories that needed to also be released because our body is a messenger. It's a communication source,
Right.
and we don't listen to it. We listen. I really believe that we listen to our head way too much. It really is not the best source of information. It's really
Right.
our heart in our bodies. And so when I could learn to tap into my body more and become more mindful of what my nervous system was telling me, what where was I needing to shift, what was not true, what was true. And I think how I got through it honestly was just patience, uh the belief that I'm whole, the belief that this is something that is I don't even regret it. I just it's just a part of my past. And what I bring into the present is more empathy. I'm I'm more intuitive. I'm just more aware. I care how I feel. I have boundaries, and so I really gained a lot. And I feel like you know nobody wants to go through hardship,
Mm,
but I think how we turn it and how we can reframe our life, which sounds like you've done so beautifully,
yeah.
is what it's about, because
Yeah.
the circumstances will come, but like they say, it's just how we respond that is how we create our life. And I really care about a happy, joyful life. And so I care how I feel. So I tend to, yeah.
Wow, that's so powerful, Jen. Bless you. Yeah, you're right that things will happen to us, and we have to then take that mess and make it our message. And
Mm-hmm,
quite frankly, if some certain things don't happen to us, we can never speak from a place of authenticity.
mm-hmm,
Like someone who has walked the walk, when they're talking, you can feel it. As
mm-hmm,
opposed to someone who has read it in a book or who has imagined or made it up. You can connect more easily with someone who has walked the walk. And sometimes I wasn't always like this. I have matured over the years because when my father died, I was very bitter against everyone, against God, against the people that I felt that could have done more for him to be alive. I was bitter that people were dependent on him. That's why he went out under a torrential rain to go work. And I was bitter. And as years went by, I just realized, the older I got, I just realized, hey, Sylvia, every single thing that you've been through has led you directly to the place where you are right now. There's no way. The way I was raised, princess girl, had everything. My dad was well to do. The way I was raised, I would never have chosen this path or been on this path, never have met you if what happened to my dad didn't happen. And
mm-hmm,
the way I speak to people, the way I connect with young people, even the message that I spread is as a result of that experience and the
mm-hmm,
things that I went on to deal with throughout my teenage years and also into my adulthood that I now use to tell people how their life can be different.
mm-hmm,
And I tell people that, listen, things will happen, but like you said, what you make of it is what changes everything. Some of my
mm-hmm,
siblings they haven't really overcome the impact. I
mm-hmm,
just chose to do things differently. And I say to people that I had two options when my father died: to become a young prostitute or to go the hard way and just work hard, go through the pain, and then come out on the other side. Obviously, one path was easier, the other path was harder. It's a choice. Every
mm-hmm,
single thing that happens to us doesn't really happen to us when we, in hindsight, when we've gone past that storm, we realize that no, actually this happened for us to have
mm-hmm,
that experience, for us to be able to live our purpose, for us to
mm-hmm.
be able to reach out. Uh, Do you know how good I feel when I'm able to give someone advice about predatory men, for example, because I encountered a lot of them, and say, no, 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 this is what you should do. If your boss wants to sleep with you, this is what you should do, and you will not sleep with him, but you'll get what you want. I feel so good.
I love that.
I feel so
Wow.
good when I see the sparks in their eyes and they're like, yeah, this is the aha. Yeah, so thank you, Sylvie. When I give advice to young women, you can totally, if you're young and you're in a space where men are just trying to, you know, use you for their sexual needs, just buy a ring and pretend to be engaged or pretend to be married. And those are things that I went through, and I'm able to give that advice and help other young girls not to end up in unwanted pregnancy situations or losing their jobs because they didn't give in. I'm like, no, you don't have to say no, but you can go on to get what you want by playing along. Play along.
Mhm,
If you don't find yourself in a hotel room with him with your undies off you, it's your choice. Except it's a rape, it's your choice. You can play the game and get what you want and get out of it unscathed. So
mhm,
because I've been through those things, I feel some joy in my heart to explain. But at the time when I was going through them, I was in pain. I was
mhm.
distressed. I was angry. But not anymore. I've grown past that. You
Yeah.
see, so it's
And
something
that's
about
so
life.
beautiful. That's so beautiful. And yeah, I admire you for going through what you've gone through and turning it into something so amazing. And that's such a such an amazing example. And I love that you have this platform to share your story and bring on stories. And I actually am just getting ready to launch a community called Thrive Community,
Oh,
which will
nice.
be an online community membership for women. And it's going to be all topics regarding women, different themes of what we go through,
Right.
and creating a community though of women who want to really, thrive in their lives and not just survive. And when I
Hmm.
was going through this path, I didn't really feel like, I kind of felt a little crazy, like saying yes to all these things, and like nobody was really doing it. It was like, what are you doing? And I don't know. I just didn't feel. I feel like I wanted a certain community. I needed people who to support me and inspire me and make broaden my vision. And so anyway, that's what I'll be doing, and I'm gonna have guests on as well. So I would love to
Please bring
invite
me
you.
on.
I will. That'd be amazing. Yeah. And
Please, I would love to be a part of community like that. I believe
yeah.
that communities are the bedrock for our abilities to thrive.
Hmm.
Literally. Because when you're in a community and you see other people doing it, if you have people who nudge you from time to time and say, hey, you can do this, you've got this, it's okay to cry, you're going to be fine. If you got that support, it's a game changer. It's priceless, Jen. It is,
Yeah.
it's what rupees. It's priceless. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they were. I don't know the statistic. I want to learn it, but there's something about loneliness and stress that they
Oh,
covered.
I
During
read it.
COVID.
I
Yeah,
read it. Is it a surgeon from the US? The guy
I
was saying
think
that.
so.
Yeah, I read the article on the BBC, and he was saying that he has been through it. That he was working so hard, and he kind of people moved on in his life, like his friends and family. So he thought at the time that no, I'm doing the right thing, but people moved on from him. And when he came back, people had gone and he started to feel lonely and distressed and he became sick. And he said that
Hmm.
they have found that so many people and so many of the diseases that our body is fighting is as a result of loneliness. I was like,
Right.
say what? And he said, oh, the heart disease, the diabetes. I was like, what? Loneliness? He said, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So please create this community. There's
Yeah.
never too many. There is never too many.
Yeah.
A sense of community is the bedrock of our abilities to thrive.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need one another. We
We
do.
do. We do.
Yeah. Yeah.
More apparent than ever, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful. I mean, I think that there are a lot of nuggets that came out of this last couple.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I think that like what you've done is reframed your life and got great perspective and turned your mess into your message.
Message.
And what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. And
Oh. Oh, thank
oh,
you so much.
it was that. It was the mind. It was just, you know, I touched on a little bit, but I think the way our relationship to our thoughts is so important. And I always say a thought you keep thinking becomes a belief. And you know, if you think you're abused, you're no good, or whatever, you begin to believe like that. You begin to feel like that. How we walk in the world is how we feel, and we create our life experience based on that. So it's so important to keep straight in your mind the truth of who you are, and that going back to the very beginning of like you were created here not on accident, with a message and a purpose and a unique blueprint to share, a
Mm,
unique voice,
mm,
a unique message.
mm.
Nothing can stop that, and we just need to turn our obstacles into a new perspective, like, and believe that what it is that we want is possible, because desire I think desire comes from God. Like, what I desire is not maybe what you desire. So why? where did it come from? You know, why do I want to drive a van and go camping in a tent, go camping and sleep in a sleeping bag? Like most people think it's crazy. But I decided, like, and now the women are like, oh my God, they are inspired. I like to do this crazy stuff, and
Right.
well, that, somebody gave me,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
we can just honor who we are and
Oh.
our uniqueness.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I'm gonna have so many quotes from this, Jen. It's been beautiful, so beautiful speaking to you. I mean, as a life coach, I believe that there's so many women out there who would be listening to you right now and saying, I need to be able to talk to Jen. I want to talk to Jen. I want her to coach me through whatever it is that I'm facing. How can they contact you, Jen?
Yeah. So my website is jenadamscoaching.com.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And on Instagram. No Insta?
Instagram. Instagram is Sage Soul and Flowers, which is
Okay.
doing my book, and all the business coaches. You can coach me up on that. Told me not
Okay.
to do it, but I didn't change. Sage Soul and Flowers, and I love the name. So there. And on
Beautiful.
Facebook, I'm Jennifer Adams because I created that eons ago, and I put Jennifer instead of Jen. And
Right.
yeah, I'm on TikTok, but I'm only beginning. I don't know if I'm
Okay.
up. I'm
Awesome. I
grateful
mean,
for the opportunity.
oh, thanks, Jane. I'm gonna link everything in the description box anyway, so you can just be a click away. Just click and
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
right in Jen's world. Thank you so much, Jane. I really, really appreciate you for,
Thank you.
agreeing to talk to me and bringing your heart and soul into this conversation. It's been beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going off to get your book right now
Yes, and
on Amazon.
let's Instagram message, and you can put your name in because I want to buy yours as well.
Yeah, thank you, sweetie.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thanks. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Ladies, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to share this. You never know whose life you might save with this conversation. Share it and don't forget to comment. And please feel free to reach out to Jen. Go to Amazon, get her book. I'm gonna add it in the description box of
Okay.
this video as well. And I look forward to seeing you all in our next episode. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.